the power.
Evil-Lyn, exploring this alluring evil sorceress from He-Man universe. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, a popular toy line and an animated television program featuring the villain Evil-Lyn. Which Evil-Lyn uses her black magic to assist Skeletor in his second-in-command role, though however, her allegiance to him is debatable. She is one of He-Man's enemies, the smartest and most cunning. Although she readily acknowledges that she isn't as formidable as Skeletor, she is far more intellectual than the other members of Skeletor's troops. She readily admits that she longs to usurp her master's authority one day and rule Eternia for herself. She has therefore frequently performed wholly autonomous tasks for Skeletor. Even though Evil-Lyn is known for her magic wand with a crystalline orb at the top, she usually conjures up spells on her own. In order to diversify the evil warriors, Evil-Lyn was included in the Masters of the Universe toy line in 1983. The action figure of Evil-Lyn is the exact same as that of Teela, with the exception of the color scheme, head mold, and accessories. She was originally intended to be a malevolent warrior goddess and Teela's counterpart. Even though most representations show her to have an olive or light complexion, the actual figure has brilliant yellow skin. Let us dig in to find out more about this character in detail in our video today. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Evil-Lyn as a primary villain in the Filmation animated series. Skeletor plainly could not have asked for a more competent ally than Evil-Lyn, who is frequently left to take charge whenever he is gone from Snake Mountain due to her brilliance, bravery, and extraordinary magical abilities. Evil-Lyn was voiced by Linda Gary, who gave the character the attributes of wickedness and elegance at the same time. In fact, she always acted stylishly in contrast to the bulk of the remaining villains. She may have been intended for the toy line to be a malevolent counterpart of Teela, but in the show, she was much more of the Sorceress's evil twin, because she utterly lacked in combat prowess, but more than made up for it with her mastery of magic and witchcraft. She has grey or white hair when her headgear is removed. In episodes like The Curse of the Spellstone, The Shaping Staff, Evil-Lyn's Plot, and The Royal Cousin, she deceived numerous individuals with her mystical disguises. She used a variety of magical spells to battle the heroic warriors. She occasionally supplemented her powers with items like the fabled Shaping Staff and the Spellstone, but she never entirely relied on them to cast spells and enchantments. Her abilities frequently came from within her. As seen in episodes like Ordeal in the Darklands, Journey to Stone City, and No Job Too Small, she regularly strayed from Skeletor's commissions and carried out her own plots. In addition, Evil-Lyn offers her assistance to other supervillains, such as Dark Dream in Eternal Darkness and Gorgon in The Defection, proving again that she is not totally committed to Skeletor. For instance, in Evil-Lyn's plot, we can see that Skeletor intends to take cordite, a potent crystal that the Widgets mine. Skeletor believes that since He-Man's girdle is constructed of cordite, creating a cordite armor of his own will enable him to beat He-Man finally. When Skeletor strikes the Widget Fortress, the Widgets broadcast a request for He-Man's assistance. Evil-Lyn decides to dress up as a pretty blonde woman back at Snake Mountain before traveling to the Widget Fortress to con the inhabitants to handing her cordite. He-Man confronts Skeletor at the fortress. The Widgets rescue her when she poses as Panther's victim. The Widget Squinch takes the upset Nadira to the cordite mine in an effort to cheer her up. The cordite is stolen by Evil-Lyn, who then transports it to Volcano Cave with Skeletor, the only location where the cordite can be formed. Skeletor successfully constructs his cordite breastplate, but had to flee with Evil-Lyn soon after being defeated by He-Man and the Widget Squinch. Evil-Lyn's ruse managed to trick the Widgets. They discovered that looks may be deceptive and that it is improper to evaluate both individuals and books by their outward appearance. What matters most is on the inside, and Evil-Lyn showed her malice by indulging in such an act. Likewise, in the episode The Witch and the Warrior, we can see the wicked wizard Kothos is conducting increasingly fiercer attempts to seize control of the Fountain of Life. So the city of Aradan in the desert summons the wizard Malik to safeguard the temple housing the Fountain of Life. Malik banishes one among Kothos' demons, but he wonders how long Kothos can be held out. He makes contact with the royal palace to request He-Man's assistance. Prince Adam changes and travels to the city with Teela, requesting that Man-at-Arms remain behind unless he requires support. Skeletor dispatches Clawful and Evil-Lyn to the city to take the Fountain of Life's waters for his own purposes after learning about it. Kothos summons a sand monster and dispatches it towards the fountain as He-Man and Teela arrive in the city. While sneaking into the temple and putting Malik to sleep, Evil-Lyn has sent Clawful to try and keep He-Man occupied. However, when she arrives, Teela guards the fountain. He-Man vanquishes the sand demon by blasting it away. However, Clawful seizes his leg and drags him into a cavern below ground. While everything is going on, Evil-Lyn and Teela are engaged in a combat as the temple rises into the air and separates from its base. Upon discovering them both inside, Kothos uses a magic stone to take Evil-Lyn's abilities before teleporting the two ladies into the wilderness, where he abandons them to perish. He-Man defeats Clawful after a brief battle by encasing him in a stone slab and tossing him right back to Snake Mountain. Then he runs into Malik, who warns him that they must find the fountain quickly before the city runs out of water. As they are about to go, Man-at-Arms, Cringer, and Orko arrive at the attack track. He-Man changes Cringer to become Battle Cat, and they all head for Kothos' palace. Teela and Evil-Lyn, in the meantime, decide to call a ceasefire until they can locate Kothos, since they know that they will need to rely on one another to survive. Both of them agree that they will form a solid team when Teela teaches Evil-Lyn how to get water in the scorching desert, and Evil-Lyn teaches Teela how to dodge the dangerous animals that dwell there. While they are out exploring, a sand devil almost eats Teela, but Evil-Lyn manages to force it to release her by tossing a boulder at it. As the creature pursues Teela up a mountain, she and Evil-Lyn cause a rock slide, which sends the creature fleeing and closes off its tunnel. The orcs guarding Kothos' palace are soon discovered, and the ladies slip inside by taking off their headdresses. They then follow the orcs to their master to inform him about the women being eaten by the sand monster. He-Man shows up there with Man-at-Arms, Malik, Battle Cat, and Orko. Evil-Lyn steals Kothos' jewel and regains her abilities, and the ladies find themselves besieged by orcs. While everyone is focused on battling the orcs, Kothos teleports away to take the fountain's water. However, Evil-Lyn translocates after him and uses one of Kothos' spells against him to convert Kothos into a sand slug. As Kothos scurries away, debris drops from the temple's ceiling, knocking Evil-Lyn down cold. Malik informs Evil-Lyn as she regains consciousness that they treated her with a portion of the fountain's water. Teela anticipates that she will attempt to take the fountain once more, but Evil-Lyn responds, "I've had enough of fountains and you to last a lifetime. If this temple interests Skeletor so much, he can come and get it himself." She suddenly turns into a fireball and flies off, screaming, "Goodbye, partner. The armistice is ended." Even though Teela predicts that most likely the closest Evil-Lyn would ever get to expressing thank you, Malik is astonished to see her go without a fight. This is shown in The Witch and the Warrior, possibly the series' most in-depth examination of Evil-Lyn's character, as she is compelled to form an awkward relationship with Teela after the two of them become stuck in the desert together. Evil-Lyn gains some respect for Teela's abilities and intelligence, despite always treating her with the utmost contempt and never considering her to be a formidable enemy, unlike the Sorceress and the He-Man, even suggesting that the two of them might make a terrific team at one point. In this episode, she also tells Teela that she holds no loyalty to Skeletor and that the only reason she works for him is her distant goal of gaining his superior abilities. Evil-Lyn displays some goodwill towards the end of the episode when she expresses gratitude to Malik, the Wizard of Stone Mountain, for rescuing and curing her wounds. She refuses to steal what Skeletor had ordered her to collect as a sign of a sincere thanks and demonstrates that she is not submissive like the rest of the evil warriors by saying that Skeletor may come grab whatever he wanted himself. The series' bibliography reveals she was formerly a scientist from Earth by the name of Evil-Lyn Powers, who was aboard Marlena Glenn's spaceship before it crash-landed in Eternia, despite the fact that her past is never acknowledged in the show. Marlena had beat her out for the position of shuttle pilot, and Evil-Lyn had been extremely envious of her. Evil-Lyn ended herself on Infinita after the spacecraft crashed due to a blast from Skeletor's homeworld, where the evil forces of that planet used her scientific expertise to help Skeletor. This origin is used in the book New Champions of Eternia, but the authors of the program didn't like it and didn't include it in the animation.
After all this time, Grayskull.
She featured in the Masters of the Universe 1987 movie. Masters of the Universe, a 1987 live-action movie, includes Evil-Lyn. She is portrayed by Meg Foster and is depicted as Skeletor's primary henchwoman, just as in the animation. The plot of the movie is quite simple. The troops of the evil ruler Skeletor, played by Frank Langella, have taken over Castle Grayskull, right on the planet named Eternia, at the heart of the universe. The Sorceress of Grayskull, played by Christina Pickles, who until now has maintained order across the cosmos, has also been taken prisoner by Skeletor. When the Great Eye opens and the moon of Eternia is properly aligned, Skeletor intends to take on Grayskull's abilities. The Eternian armies, however, are dispersed and outnumbered. One among Skeletor's patrols in the wasteland is abruptly ambushed by He-Man, played by Dolph Lundgren, the strongest warrior of Eternia and Skeletor's arch-enemy. He-Man saves Gwildor, played by Billy Barty, a Thenorian who purports to be a locksmith and an inventor during the battle. Gwildor shows off his most recent creation, the Cosmic Key, which can generate a gateway to any place and time when He-Man and his allies visit his house. According to him, Skeletor took the key away from him and utilized it to enter Castle Grayskull, but Gwildor retained the original. Gwildor directs the others through a covert conduit that brings them directly to the castle as Skeletor's Centurions arrive. Meanwhile, Evil-Lyn, played by Meg Foster, Skeletor's second-in-command at Castle Grayskull, locates the Earth's key and organizes a small group of mercenaries to retrieve it. They are led by Karg, played by Robert Towers, and comprise Saurod, played by Pons Mar, Blade, played by Anthony DeLonges, and Beastman, played by Tony Carroll. Skeletor is enraged by the mercenaries' defeat and obliterates Saurod with just an energy bolt while they are traveling back to Castle Grayskull. They come back to Earth with a stronger army and Evil-Lyn this time. Julie, played by Courtney Cox, and Kevin, played by Robert Duncan McNeil, two young lovers who had been to the music store earlier, resolve to lead He-Man and the other Eternians right where Lubick had stolen the key. As Gwildor tries to open a passage back to Eternia, He-Man and Man-at-Arms engage in combat inside the music store, holding the Centurions at bay. However, Evil-Lyn had impersonated Julie's mother, played by Gwyn Guilford, who was reported to have died in a plane crash during the turmoil. Julie is convinced to grab the key for her mother while Lubick, Kevin, and Gwildor quarrel, and she does not catch the trick until it is too late. He-Man follows Evil-Lyn and the rest as they flee. But soon another portal appears, and this time Skeletor himself enters the planet. He-Man swoops in and wrests the key away from Evil-Lyn on a stolen hoverboard as the Centurions march down the desolate street. Skeletor has encircled He-Man's pals, including Julie Julie and Kevin and has prepared a trap for him. He-Man continues to repel the army despite their overwhelming numbers until Skeletor issues his ultimatum. He will murder He-Man's pals if He-Man refuses to submit and become his slave. He-Man leaves with Skeletor after being forced to submit, leaving the other characters on Earth to perish. Even worse, Skeletor's toxic magic hurt Julie, and the other key was irreparably broken. Back at Castle Grayskull, Skeletor tortures He-Man and commands him to bow before he is put to death as he gets ready for the Great Eye to open and provide him ultimate power. The gateway opens, and the ultimate fight starts just as Skeletor reaches the pinnacle of his power and equates it to that of a god. At the same time, He-Man escapes from his shackles and retrieves his sword. Lubick, Man-at-Arms, Kevin, and Teela all battle the Centurions from cover. He-Man and Skeletor fight each other with their sword and staff. Skeletor's staff is broken during the battle, and as a result, he loses his new abilities and godlike position. He-Man successfully knocks Skeletor into the enormous pit that encircles the throne room. As Gwildor provides a gateway back to Earth, Kevin and Julie bid the Eternians farewell. On the other hand, when Skeletor is thrown into a large hole filled with crimson water beneath the throne room, he abruptly rises from the ocean and declares, "I'll be back." The movie adds another layer to Skeletor and Evil-Lyn's connection by hinting at some kind of romance between the two. As he pets Evil-Lyn's face and shoulder in one of the scenes, Skeletor makes it clear that he relies on her to give the citizens of Eternia the impression that he is a powerful king. Evil-Lyn and Skeletor both have a hunger for power, although Skeletor's rage and frenzy are seen to be calmed by Evil-Lyn's cool demeanor when he is at his most hysterical. In the same scenario, Beastman along with the rest of the warriors entered, thereby interrupting their kiss. In the movie, Skeletor quickly thwarts Evil-Lyn's attempts to get near or match him. Evil-Lyn tries to represent his minions after Skeletor punishes them for failing. Skeletor forces her to command his soldiers during their second journey to Earth to find the heroes due to her stance. She is successful in obtaining the Cosmic Key, but when she announces that she has been unable to defeat He-Man, Skeletor ignores her once more. She runs away from Skeletor in the movie's final stages when he consumes cosmic power without giving it to her. This is consistent with the numerous ways the character has been portrayed in the Filmation series, the mini-comics, and the 2002 series as cunning and eager to flip against Skeletor. While it is not explicitly mentioned that Evil-Lyn lacks such abilities, she is not portrayed in the movie as a formidable magic user, and she is also not shown with a recognizable orb staff. She seldom ever employs magic in the movie, although in one moment she creates an illusion to pass for Julie's deceased mother and also makes use of her abilities to keep the music store's door locked until Julie delivers her the Cosmic Key. Foster described Evil-Lyn's persona, saying that she is just doing her job and she knows how to get results. Even if it means being harsh, she is not a villain. Langella concurred, describing Evil-Lyn as a woman who is more committed to Skeletor's mission than any man and who is a little lovelorn, which accounts for her obsession with Skeletor. Foster's naturally pale blue eyes were considered for masking by the producers, but they ultimately determined that the role suited Foster's eyes better. They did, however, enlarge Foster's bust in order to incorporate depth into the character's attire. Instead of the short hairdo seen in the movie, Foster preferred the figure to have a colossal hairstyle. Evil-Lyn in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2002 to 2004. Evil-Lyn was exposed to be the daughter of the formidable sorcerer, the Faceless One. She lived in seclusion in the wrecks of Zelicia as the defender of a priceless artifact known as the Ramstone in the 2002 re-emergence of the franchise and its associated animated media, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2002. When Evil-Lyn was young, she had a friendship with Keldor, and it was hinted that they were attracted to one another romantically. Evil-Lyn assisted the ailing Keldor to Hordak's sanctuary after he was seriously hurt battling Captain Randor at the Hall of Wisdom. There, she saw Keldor change into Skeletor. Upon seeing Keldor's metamorphosis and his insane laughter at his skull-like appearance, Evil-Lyn was terrified to realize that he had changed and was no longer the person she had formerly cared for. The Faceless One despised his daughter's association with Skeletor as well as the evil forces and wished she would one day realize her mistakes. The Ramstone was once returned to her father after Skeletor had utilized it in an effort to assault Castle Grayskull, despite the fact that Evil-Lyn had previously been devoted to Skeletor for a long time. While they were imprisoned behind the Mystic Wall in the Dark Hemisphere, Evil-Lyn continued to serve Skeletor as his second-in-command with loyalty despite her misgivings. Evil-Lyn joined Skeletor in his assault on the Royal Palace of Eternia as he tore down the Mystic Wall, and the two subsequently engaged in combat. Later, Evil-Lyn would openly make fun of Skeletor for losing to He-Man. She would carry on working for Skeletor, frequently expressing her annoyance when he would take credit for her innovations and making hints that she would eventually replace him. Evil-Lyn later learned that she'd been deceived by Skeletor, who had purposefully led his soldiers into a trap in order to oust them with the Council of Evil after being arrested and jailed by He-Man as well as the Masters. Furious, Evil-Lyn decided to form a partnership with Cobra Khan, who assured her that King Hiss would give her a big prize if she assisted in rescuing him from the abyss beneath Snake Mountain. With the help of Khan and Ratlaw, Evil-Lyn was able to release King Hiss, along with his legion of snake men, who then swiftly overthrew Skeletor and seized possession of Snake Mountain. Though their union was brief, Evil-Lyn quickly realized that Hiss did not require her. Evil-Lyn escaped into hiding when Hiss failed to apprehend Grayskull, being chased by an angry Skeletor who wanted to send her to the Forsaken Realm for her betrayal. The Faceless One ordered He-Man to rescue her from Skeletor's grasp, but she chose to save Skeletor's life and stay in his company, which Skeletor accepted. Evil-Lyn started looking for a means to free Hordak from Despondos, but still intended to turn on Skeletor. She recruited Count Marzo, who was reluctant to cooperate for this purpose, but He-Man thwarted her plan. The MV Creations comic provided further context for Evil-Lyn's personality and revealed that she was a child of Eternia's distant past. The Faceless One surrendered his daughter to a time-traveling Keldor, who transported her to the distant future to secure her safety in order to safeguard her from King Hiss. Her recent appearance in Masters of the Universe Revelation. Fans' hearts were torn apart by Lena Headey's Evil-Lyn in Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 1, working alongside Teela to fetch Prince Adam back so they could get a He-Man again and restore magic to Eternia, gave the impression that she had transformed into a hero. In Part 2, there was tremendous havoc when Skeletor exploited her to revive him as a deity. Nevertheless, as the 5 episodes go on, Evil-Lyn gains a significant advantage, and the finest storyline of the entire series is when she decides to stop being a pawn. When Skeletor transforms into this god, he acknowledges that he stole the power of Grayskull by using Lyn's shell to store his soul until the right moment to reincarnate. He gives her a reward by making her the next Sorceress, although he makes it very clear that it is a curse rather than a gift. The castle requires her to serve as a prisoner-like guardian who is unable to escape. She serves as his conduit now, allowing him to access the power and reveal the universe's mysteries for the benefit of her master. Beastman, though, offers her a motivational speech about liberty and tells her that she is a badass. Skeletor needs her more than she needs him, which motivates Lyn to seduce him before stealing the Sword of Power, robbing him of his powers and transforming into Dark Lyn, the ultimate goddess of Eternia. After losing her parents, Lyn turned into a fugitive and ended up in the slums. She started becoming a constant target for rowdy males. She believes that even though her adversaries must be punished, it is something that she had deserved. She was led to believe that even more because despite Skeletor saved her, he turned her into an enslaved warrior. Notably, Lyn's destructive tendencies are not motivated by selfishness. She stared over space, time and history and saw nothing but disaster, all perpetrated by humans. She feels that the sole way to restore order is to reset reality completely. Therefore, she plans to do just that. It is proof that the selfish, obnoxious Skeletor has shattered her with his poisonous methods, creating this extraterrestrial goddess who seeks to bring about peace via violence. Though not acceptable, her transformation into this dark character is understood. She becomes even more menacing due to the fact that her scale is larger than Skeletor's, which causes him to join forces with He-Man after escaping her fury. His obsession constantly hampered Skeletor's objectives with He-Man in a relationship identical to that of Batman and the Joker, and she exposed this to him, leaving him scared. This alludes to Lyn reclaiming her life. In the end, Teela provides the heroes with the opening they require after becoming the new Sorceress. After a unique celestial conjunction makes Lyn even more powerful, Teela transports the Nihilist to the start of time to demonstrate the wonder of creation. It is a wonderful song of redemption as Lyn discovers that a life full of love is actually lovely and magical, inspiring her to go back and aid in the restoration of Eternia. As the damned ascend to the eternal life, Lyn atones for her wrongdoing by saving Orko, so he would not have to go back to Subternia. Later, Lyn makes amends by disposing of a former self, burying her wand, and retiring to the wilderness of Eternia as a hermit. She has a lot to think about because her twisted worldview caused her to kill many people, yet she also has been a victim seeking retribution. Thankfully, she comes to her senses, completing the cycle and showing Adam and Teela that while errors are often made, they should not be cast off completely, since hope always persists. Evil-Lyn and her comic book appearance. One of Skeletor's wicked soldiers, Evil-Lyn, had yellow skin, wielded strong magic, and gave off the impression of being the smartest one. She referred to the strength of her magical staff, which was capped with a crystal sphere, as blue crystal magic. Evil-Lyn had a cunning, self-serving mentality, and she once tried to leave Skeletor and team up with Hordak. However, Hordak was unwilling to team up with Evil-Lyn and turned down her invitation. He-Man, Teela and Man-at-Arms manage to free Evil-Lyn after she is in some way taken hostage by the evil Horde. She quickly persuades them that she can aid in their hunt for Skeletor, which will enable them to destroy the Horde. Along with Evil-Lyn, Teela and He-Man travel to Earth, where they run across the Justice League Dark and John Constantine. They aid the three Eternians in their search for Skeletor. Skeletor prevents Evil-Lyn's attempt to stab them in the back by saying he needs their assistance to stop Dark Orko. She then joins forces with the Justice League and Masters to confront Dark Orko before going back to Eternia to aid in the Hordak's downfall.
Mine's bigger.
What makes Evil-Lyn so powerful? Evil-Lyn inherits magical prowess. She can use spells since she is a sorceress. She has, however, opted to go down the black magic route in her search for more power. She concentrates her magic with the aid of her staff, greatly enhancing the power of her spells. In addition to the many spells she has used, Evil-Lyn has also utterly destroyed vast woods, turning the earth into barren dirt called meteor showers, and changed herself into becoming shadows that served as a means of escape from dangerous confrontations. She frequently channels an energy blast, her most frequently observed spell, from her mystical staff. However, there have been instances where she has done it using only her hands. She has other powers like paramount agility, dimensional manipulation, exceptional intellect, and natural leadership. She was blessed with potent magic. She indulged in necromancy. She was a psychic herself and was thorough with psychometry. She had a sharp radar sense and could shapeshift and teleport. Telekinesis was another one of her gifts. She was skilled in unarmed combat and was the weapon master of all time. She could change into a banshee with the capacity to manipulate a subject's psyche with her song. She also demonstrates the ability to change her appearance in the Filmation series of 1983, mostly for the goal of breaking into the royal palace or duping people into giving her potent magical objects. However, she does not use this talent in the 2002 series. The new era of He-Man. The revamped He-Man has a distinct narrative. In this new version, Adam doesn't remember his history and finds He-Man's powers when he is in his teens. Thus, the narrative is not the remake of what came before. Grayskull's power, which was previously solely used by him, may now be summoned by the whole crew, transforming the program from one that had a clear central protagonist to an ensemble cast. A big part of this is made possible by the show's usage of CGI rather than conventional animation. It daringly reimagines the appearance of iconic characters while keeping critical visual cues. This central ethos for the program meant mopping transformation to the story and the characters. Characters like Evil-Lyn went through significant changes in the entire story arc, and those changes only added value to the character of He-Man and his development in the narrative. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.